Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to the Bring the Same podcast. I'm your host, The Hammer, and we got a good one for you today. In honor of the 26th episode, we got the legacy teams. Today, we're just going to go with the AFC. Next episode, we're going to go with the NFC, but we're going to go with the legacy teams of the last 26 years. And what do I mean by legacy teams? I'll tell you what I mean. I mean the best quarterback of each team over the last 26 years, paired up with the best running back, paired up with the best offensive line, tight end, wide receiver, and defense. We're not going to go position by position. We're just going to go offensive line as a unit and defense as an entire unit. I'm not going to go into special teams or kicker or anything like that, but we're going to go with the best legacy team. So, for example, I'm going to go with Peyton Manning. For the Colts, we're going to go Peyton Manning. We're going to go Jonathan Taylor. We're going to go with the 2020 offensive line for the Colts with Quentin Nelson and everybody, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, and then we're gonna pick that best defense that the Colts have had over the last 26 years. We're not gonna do way back in the day, 1960s Johnny Unitas. No, we're not doing any of that. Over the last 26 years, it's 2026. It's episode 26, so we might as well do over the last 26 years. Since the year 2000, in this current millennia and century, the best legacy teams, and today we're going with the AFC. So, starting clockwise, we're going to go from the AFC North, and without further ado, we're gonna go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the best quarterback over the last 26 years for the Pittsburgh Steelers, none other than Ben Roethlisberger. I know we could go with Aaron Rodgers, but we're gonna go the current age that they were playing with them. We're not gonna go with Aaron Rodgers if he was 26 years old playing with that Pittsburgh. I think that would be a little too confusing, and it would be it'd be a little messy, because at some point Jerry Rice played for the Denver Broncos, so we're not going to go Jerry Rice in 2005 with Denver Broncos as best running back, or best wide receiver. So, let me get Ben Roethlisberger. Let me get Le'Veon Bell at the running back. That was kind of a tough one. It was either him or Jerome Bettis, the bus. But I think Le'Veon Bell in his prime was a little bit better. For the wide receivers, I'm going to go with Hines Ward. We're only going to do 2 wide receivers, by the way, which is going to be tough. Sometimes they have really good wide receivers, and we're going to get to some really good wide receiver teams, but we're going to go Hines Ward and Antonio Brown for our best 2 wide receivers. And for the tight end, we're going to go none other than Heath Miller. So, Heath. Anyway, so we got Heath Miller. In terms of offensive line, I'm going to use the internet to kind of help me decide which Pittsburgh Steelers team had the best offensive line, because there was some good ones, the ones with Mike Pouncey and everybody. So this is gonna be where I'm gonna need to utilize the help of a little Google action. But 6 years, so the best offensive line for Pittsburgh in the last 26 years, the 2010s unit with Marquise Pouncey, like I said. Then there was the dominant 2000s group led by Alan Faneca and the impressive, highly efficient modern group that we got going on today. So, this is tough. And I think the offensive line, we're definitely going to go with the 2005 unit. That was the team that ended up winning the Super Bowl. This unit was crazy, man. They had Barrett Brooks, they had Trey Essex, they had Alan Faneca, Jeff Hardings, Chucky Akobe. Yeah, no, this team, this was a stacked offensive line. So, give me the 2005 Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line. I barely remember that offensive line because that was like the first year I started watching football. But no, that was a very dominant offensive line. And then for defense, oh man, kind of pick your poison. They had a lot of great defenses over the years, but in terms of the best defense, I think I'm going to go with the 2010 unit. Not the 2010, the 2008 unit, the Super Bowl winning Steelers defense with James Harrison, Troy Polamalu. They ranked number 1 in the NFL in points allowed, total yards allowed, passing yards per game, and opponent's third down conversion percentage. So I think this was actually a no-brainer. I think that 2008 unit kind of is the icing on the cake when it comes to this legacy team for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And when you guys ask me, how did I get this idea? I got to shout out my guy Miguel. He he listens to all my episodes, and when I was asking my friends for a little Q&A, or if they had any questions to be answered, he gave me this idea, and I thought this idea was so good that I'm actually gonna get 2 whole episodes out of this idea. So part 1 and part 2 with the NFC. So I think I'm also thinking about doing a little shout out to the World Cup action, and tie in NFL teams and their World Cup international equivalents. Not like by player, but by teams, like the Dallas Cowboys or like England and stuff like that. That's just a little sneak peek. So that might be episode 28, depending on how I'm feeling and how the World Cup is going and whatnot. But right now, I'm totally with the whole World Cup FIFA fever right now. So it's been awesome watching these last few games. Anyways, that's the Pittsburgh Steelers legacy team. We're also gonna have a couple questions answered at the end of this episode with the Q&A. And I might also talk a little bit about basketball, just a couple of minutes, just hop on a little soapbox because NBA finals are going on right now. But primarily, this is a NFL podcast, so don't get it twisted. But anyways, moving on, we got the Baltimore Ravens. Now, Baltimore Ravens, this is actually kind of easy. Because I feel like their best team is like right now. It's a lot of the guys that, a lot of these guys that I can mention are playing for them literally right now. So let me get Lamar Jackson at the quarterback. Let me get Derrick Henry at the running back. Even though he's like a little past his prime, he's still Derrick Henry. Let me get Mark Andrews as the tight end. No, scratch that. Wait, let me see. Let me make sure Shannon Sharp played for them in the 2000s, because I will definitely take Shannon Sharp over Mark Andrews. NFL career. Hold on. He was inducted in 2011. I'm pretty sure he played in 2000. Yeah, he won his 3rd Super Bowl ring in 2000. There we go. All right, so tight end. Let me get Shannon Sharp. Wow, that was almost a devastating mistake. I can't imagine picking Mark Andrews over one of the greatest tight ends in the NFL of all time. Let me get Shannon Sharp. In terms of the offensive line, I'm going to get the 2003. This was actually kind of a no-brainer. I'm going to get the 2003 offensive line, the 2,000-yard line, headed by Jonathan Ogden, Edwin Mulatalo, Mike Flynn, the center, Marshall Yanda, and Orlando Brown. A lot of Hall of Famers on this offensive line. And Jamal Lewis rushed for a then NFL record shattering 2,066 yards. Actually, I don't think that was an NFL record back in the day. I think they still had Eric Dickerson's record in the 70s. But let me get that one. And then let me get one of, if not the greatest defense of all time, the 2000 Ravens defense. Oh my God, this team, if you look at this team on paper, this team's going to go 17-0. They got Lamar Jackson, and I completely skipped over the wide receivers too. Wide receivers, I'll get Steve Smith and Anquan Bolden. Bang, that's a 17-0 squad right there. That's a 20-0 squad right there. Anyways, moving on, Cincinnati Bengals. This one's good. I mean, I guess I could have also chosen Jamal Lewis over Derrick Henry, but I don't know. I think Derrick Henry is an all-time great. And even though Jamal Lewis will be in the record books forever for rushing for 2,000 yards, I don't know. Derrick Henry is one of the greatest running backs of all time. So hopefully this is not recency bias, but even if it is, so be it. Anyway, Cincinnati Bengals. Let me get Joe Burrow over Carson Palmer. I think this is kind of a no-brainer, actually. Joe Burrow was like the only quarterback in Bengals history besides Boomer Esiason to take him to a Super Bowl. So, taking the Bengals to the Super Bowl is like worth 5 Super Bowls on another team, So let me get Joe Burrow. For the running back, we just mentioned him, and this is what made me think about it. For the running back, there's a lot of good options, but I'm going to go with Jamal Lewis. For the tight end, for the tight end, this is a little tough. I'm not gonna lie. This is there's not like a clear-cut winner unless I'm forgetting about somebody. But I'm gonna circle back to the tight end and wide receivers. Obviously, we're gonna go Jamar Chase and Chad Ochocinco. For the offensive line, this is another tough one too. This is not historically been a strength for the Bengals. So, and just doing some more research about the Bengals tight ends, I got reminded of Jermaine Gresham. So I'll definitely take Jermaine Gresham. There was also Tyler Eifert and CJ Uzama, but I think Jermaine Gresham kind of blows both of those other guys out of the water. So I'll go Jermaine Gresham at the tight end. For offensive line and defense, I think I'm going to go with the 2015 defense. I mean, they had a lot of hard hitters on that squad. They had Adam Pac-Man Jones. They had Geno Atkins. They also had that guy that would just try to take your head off, and he's the one that concussed Antonio Brown going into that playoff game against Denver. Vontez Burfict. I can't believe I remembered his name. Vontez Burfict, Geno Atkins, Adam Pac-Man Jones. They were second in the NFL in points per game allowed. They only allowed 279 points over the entire season. Carlos Dunlap, this was a great squad, man. So another team could have been the Mike Zimmer led 2009 defense. That was actually a solid defense as well. But I think, give me the 2015 defense. That was extremely underrated. Man, this is actually turning out to be a pretty good team too. Last but not least, obviously the offensive line. I'm also going to choose the 2015 unit as well. They were headed by the first team All-Pro Andrew Whitworth, the guard Clint Bowling, Russell Boding, Kevin Zeitler, and Andre Smith. I think this was honestly probably one of their best offensive lines in Bengals history, really. So if not, I definitely have to give an honorable mention to that 2005 unit with Levi Jones and Willie Anderson and all them guys. But 2015 I think kind of blows them out of the water. That was a really good team, and they got a 12-4 record, So kind of thanks to that defense and that offensive line. So moving on, we got the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns is kind of easy for quarterbacks. I think Baker Mayfield was easily their best quarterback over the last 26 years. Not Johnny Manziel. But let me get Baker Mayfield at the quarterback position, and then at the running back position, oh man. They've had some explosive guys, but it's never been like some of the greatest running backs of all time either. I guess moving on to the wide receivers, I'll get Josh Gordon for sure. Definitely not Jerry Jeudy. Maybe give me, I don't know, I'm kind of stuck between either Jarvis Landry or Amari Cooper. I think, man, this is actually tough. It's like, who do you pick between Amari Cooper and Jarvis Landry? I think Amari Cooper, he was kind of like a major piece in like helping them get to the playoffs back with Joe Flacco. So I think I'm going to pick Amari Cooper at that point in time. Braylon Edwards is also a good one. But I'm going to do that. I'm going to get Amari Cooper and Josh Gordon. For running backs, I just thought about it. Nick Chubb. I don't think anybody else really comes close. Let me get Nick Chubb. Let me get David Njoku as their let me get David Njoku for their tight end, and then let me get the 2023 Cleveland Browns defense led by defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz and defensive player of the year Myles Garrett, and then all those pieces surrounding them. That was actually a really good team. I mean, they had Denzel Ward, they had Jeremiah Owusu-Koromua, they had Zadarius Smith. Like that was actually a very, very, very underrated squad. And then for offensive line, we're going to do the 2020 starting group with Jedrick Wills, Joel Bitonio, J.C. Treader, Wyatt Teller, and Jack Conklin. A bunch of Pro Bowlers on this team. They were first team All Pros on this team. This was not first team All Pros, but there was some rookie talent on this team. There were some top graded guys, pass protection guys, and just doing this right now and explaining all of this makes me realize I do not want to go through every single offensive line for every single team. So, sorry if you made it this far and you really were concerned about the trenches and the best trenches units for every single other team, but I'm not mentioning these. I'm not talking about offensive line. I'm making an executive decision. We're not talking about offensive line anymore. I don't know. There's just there's way too many nuances with offensive line, and then I have to go in and I have to do so much more research about want to talk off the dome, man. You know, like I just want to reminisce and talk about my opinion. I don't want to go into Google because at this point it's not even my opinion anymore. You know, it's like I have to look up, oh, who's the best offensive line over the last 2000. At that point, I'm not even talking about my own personal knowledge. I'm just reiterating to you guys what Google is telling me and what all these different research sites are telling me about like historical grades and whatnot. Also, I just realized right now I'm going to have to self-correct in real time that Jamal Lewis never played for the Bengals. Jamal Lewis played for the Browns. So I'm going to, and I am so sorry. I'm gonna need a little bit more caffeine here in a second. Jamal Lewis, I realize I picked him as the best Bengals running back. And if you're a Bengals fan, I'm sure it kind of flew over your head if you're not a Bengals fan. But if you are a Bengals fan, I am so sorry. Like, you're probably just sitting here thinking, when the hell did Jamal Lewis ever play for the Bengals? The answer is never. He never played for it, and that's completely my bad. But you know, we're out here. This is a real podcast, man. You know, we're not gonna edit out my mistakes or anything like that. You guys are gonna see me and hear me correct myself in real time. This is real. This is raw. This is the truth. Anyway, so instead of I was gonna say Giovanni Bernard. Instead of Jamal Lewis, let me get Joe Mixon as the best running back over the last 26 years for the Cleveland Browns. And that wraps up the AFC North, and that also wraps up all the offensive line. Like I said, I'm not talking about the offensive line again. Now, moving clockwise on the compass, we got the AFC East. We're going to go with the New England Patriots to start. This one's actually pretty easy. For quarterbacks, obviously it's Brian Hoyer. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, it's Tom Brady at the quarterback. It's going to be LeGarrette Blount at the running back. Unless you could make a case for Lawrence Maroney. I thought he was a pretty solid running back too. Or Dion Lewis or Sonny Michel. I don't know. There historically hasn't been a great running back for the Patriots. But I don't know. I mean, you can kind of have your pick of the litter with any of these guys. But I'm gonna go LeGarrette Blount. For tight end, obviously Rob Gronkowski. For wide receiver, Randy Moss and Wes Welker. I think that's easy. If you say Edelman, or if you think Edelman was better than Wes Welker, I advise you to do more research and learn ball, because that's what you're doing right now. Is you're learning ball. I'm not doing a great job of teaching it right now. Made a couple of mistakes, but we moved past it. In my opinion, my humble opinion, I think that Wes Welker. I know Wes Welker is a better wide receiver than Julian Edelman ever was and ever will dream to be. Just look up Wes Welker's best season as a pro, or look up, you know, his 2009 or 2011 season. My goodness, the guy had like 140 receptions and like 1,600 yards. It was something ridiculous. The guy's like 5'9". He's not athletic. He doesn't jump up super high. You know, he doesn't have a crazy broad jump or anything like that. It's crazy. Like Wes Welker, he kind of got the shit end of the stick, never winning a Super Bowl with both Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Imagine that. I guess it just wasn't written for him. But yeah, I will take Wes Welker over Julian Edelman any day of the week. And then in terms of the best defenses, we're still doing defenses, but in terms of the best defense, let me get that 2003 New England Patriots squad, the one that first won that Super Bowl to win Tom Brady's first Super Bowl, I should say, because man, they were locked down. They had Ty Law, they had all the they were locking down prime Peyton Manning. Well, I wouldn't say prime, but like he was entering his prime. They were locking him down. They could not let him score. They picked him off like 3 straight times in the playoffs. You know, they are the reason primarily that everybody thought that Peyton Manning was a playoff choker, is because every time he played against New England, he's going up against that tough New England defense, and it's like, man, you know, I could also go with that 2018 squad that held the Rams to 3 points in the Super Bowl, but nah, I gotta go with that 2003 New England defense. Moving on, we got the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills, obviously Josh Allen. Josh Allen's probably the greatest quarterback in Bills history. I mean, if he wins a Super Bowl, there'd definitely be no argument. But Jim Kelly kind of has an argument right now because he actually made it to 4 different Super Bowls, even though he lost them all. But I don't know. As my dad usually says, the AFC was truly really weak back in the day. Like you kind of knew that the NFC was going to win the Super Bowl almost every single year, actually. So I don't know. It was kind of like the Eastern Conference with LeBron over the 2010s. It was super weak, but. Yeah, so let me get Josh Allen. Let me get James Cook. This was actually hard too because I was thinking about C.J. Spiller, or like, who's that guy that played with J.P. Losman? That guy was good too. But no, let me get James Cook. For the tight end, this one's also kind of tough too. But I think Kincaid has probably been their best tight end. Over the span of the last 26 years. They have a lot of the best players playing for them right now. This is probably the best Bills squad that we've seen in a very long time. And then in terms of defenses, or I guess no, in terms of wide receivers, we can go with Stephon Diggs and Stevie Johnson. I think that both of those guys were kind of exciting to watch in their own regard, and I don't know, they were, as much as you can say about them off the field and whatnot, they were truly some special players during their primes. And now in terms of defense, we're gonna go with that 2004 defense, anchored by Takeo Spikes and London Fletcher. Wow, Spikes, that is crazy. I haven't heard that name in a while. Yeah, we're gonna go. Yeah, Takeo Spikes and London Fletcher. Crazy pull. They led the NFL in takeaways with 39, with 24 interceptions and 15 fumble recoveries. Gave up just 18 points a game. Allowed a league low 4.3 yards per play. So you put all these guys together, they're definitely going 17-0. That's a legacy team if I've ever seen one. Now we got the New York Jets, New York Football Jets right there. So this one's actually kind of tough because it's like, do you go with the Mark Sanchez led Jets, especially as a quarterback? You know, that was kind of the last time that they were good, the last time they made the playoffs. This is also one where it's like, I don't really even have to think about an offensive line. I know we're not talking about the offensive line anymore, but like, this is one you don't even have to think about. Because that 2008 offensive unit was something special too. But I think, yeah, let me get Aaron Rodgers. I think, what are we doing here? If we're comparing Aaron Rodgers and Mark Sanchez, we've truly lost the plot. Let me get Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback. Let me get LaDainian Tomlinson. People forget that he played for the Jets, but he was still very special when he played for the Jets. I'm not going to pick like Thomas Jones or Breece Hall over LT. So yeah, let me get LT. Let me get Devontae Adams as a wide receiver, and Jericho Cotchery on the other end of the. In terms of tight ends, I'll get Dustin Keller. And then in terms of defense, man, the Jets was actually a really easy team to complete. But yeah, in terms of defense, I'll get that 2008 squad, the one that went to the AFC Championship. They beat both Manning and Brady. Unfortunately, lost to Big Ben Roethlisberger, but was that 2008, 2009? Yeah, the 2009 defense. Look at the 2009 defense with Bart Scott and all them guys. Man, that was a special defense. Revis Island, Darrell Revis, and yeah, that was a very tough team to beat. Head coached by Rex Ryan. That's another thing. I probably should have included head coaches in this one too, but I mean, that's all right. Like, little late for that now. But anyways, yeah, this is definitely becoming a great team the more and more I think about this. So, yeah, Aaron Rodgers, LT, Devontae Adams, Jericho Cotchery, Dustin Keller, and that team's going 17-0 for sure. And then last but not least, we got Miami Dolphins. Now the Miami Dolphins, this is another tough one too, because it's like, do you pick Tua? Was there somebody? I mean, do you pick Chad Pennington? Like, I'm actually gonna be a little cheeky right now. So I just did some research and I figured out that Dan Marino, he played his last game as a Miami Dolphin in 2000 on January 15th. Sure, don't ask about what the score of that game was. I'm not. You can look up what that game was. That's not something I'm gonna mention on here. But I still think a 38-year-old Dan Marino is better than any of the options that we have since 2000. So, sure enough, I mean, it was a playoff game. It was a playoff game. It wasn't a pretty score, but it was a playoff game nonetheless. So, obviously, he still had it a little bit. But yeah, let me get 38-year-old Dan Marino, who technically played in 2000. He didn't play in the 2001 or 2000 to 2001 season, but he still played January 2000. That's all the criteria requires. So yeah, let me get Dan Marino. Let me get Ricky Williams as the running back. There's a lot of good running backs that played. I just realized for the Miami Dolphins. But yeah, let me get. There was also that Wildcat running back. Who was that? Was that Ricky Brown or something? No, that guy was good too. But yeah, let me get Ricky Williams. Let me get Ted Ginn for the wide receiver and Brandon Marshall for the wide receivers. For the tight ends, let me get Randy McMichael. He had a short career, but he still leads the franchise in receiving yards by a tight end. So I think that was kind of an easy choice there. And then in terms of defense, I mean, they've had a lot of pretty good defensive players over the years with, Jason Taylor and Bradley Chubb. So I'll pick the 2006 Dolphins defense. Now that was a really good team. They had a defensive player of the year with Jason Taylor. They had Zach Thomas. And Zach Thomas actually came in so clutch the other day, dude. I was playing the Immaculate Grid with my dad, and we were stuck on who played for the Dolphins and the Cowboys, and we were sitting there for like 5 minutes, and my dad was like, there was this guy named Zach. He was a linebacker. Can't remember what his last name was. And we were going through all the different. We were going through the list of all the Zachs that have ever played in NFL history, both with a K and with an H. When we got to the H, we were looking. I was like, "Is that Zach Thomas?" And he's like, yeah, it's Zach Thomas. We put it in Immaculate Grid. It was amazing. It saved the grid. So yeah, shout out to Zach Thomas, man. Immaculate Grid legend right there. And then. Yeah, I think that actually concludes the AFC East. So moving down to the AFC South, like I said, clockwise around the compass, AFC South, we got the Indianapolis Colts. So Indianapolis Colts, we're going to go with Peyton Manning. We're going to go with Jonathan Taylor. We're going to go Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne. I think that was actually pretty easy. We're going to go Dallas Clark. That one's also really easy. And then for the best defense, for the Indianapolis Colts, I actually kind of mentioned this earlier. We kind of did like an example, and we were talking about the Colts. But yeah, this one's easy. Also, I'm not avoiding any duplicates either. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but like if a guy played for two different teams, we can use them two different times. I'm not setting a lot of boundaries on myself right now, but if we were still doing offensive line, any of the offensive lines with Jeff Saturday or Quentin Nelson would have been a good one, but. And then for the defense, obviously, I think we got to go with that 2007 squad, the one that won the Super Bowl against the Chicago Bears. That was a crazy defense, man. That was probably one of the best defenses that Peyton Manning has ever had with the Colts. With the Colts specifically. With the Broncos, it's a little different, but yeah, with the Colts, let me get that 2016 with Dwight Freeney, and then. I don't know. This is an awesome team. I mean, now speaking of awesome teams, this team is not so awesome. We got the Houston Texans, historically not so awesome, but we can build this. We can build a pretty decent team regarding the Houston Texans. So Houston Texans, I think I just have to go with C.J. Stroud. Unfortunately, that's probably the best quarterback that they've had in their short history so far, at least. I mean, you could go Matt Schaub. I don't really trust Matt Schaub, so I'm going to go with... I think I trust... I don't trust C.J. Stroud either, but I trust C.J. Stroud more than I trust Matt Schaub. So let me get Matt Schaub. Let me get Arian Foster. Let me get Andre Johnson and Nico Collins. And then for tight ends, we'll get Owen Daniels. And then for the defense, we're obviously doing the 2025 Houston Texans. Even that's a legendary defense. They were winning games by themselves. headed by D'Amico Ryans, man. You know, they got the $150 million man right there, and Neil Hunter and Will Anderson Jr., man. Like those guys, that's a two-headed monster right there. So that's kind of the easiest. Like, I sat there and I thought about it for a second. I was like, wait, I don't even have to go back to like 2011 or 2002 or whatever. Like, that Texans defense just from last year alone takes the cake. That was easily one of the best defenses probably ever, in all honesty. Like, it wasn't breaking any records, but man, that was a good defense. That was a scary defense. So yeah, that's the Texans. Moving on to Tennessee Titans. I think. Do you take Cam Ward immediately? Do you go Vince Young? Do you go with Marcus Mariota? I think I will go with Marcus Mariota, actually, because they won a playoff game with Marcus Mariota, so I'll take Marcus Mariota. Obviously CJ2K at the running back. Chris Johnson, shout out to him. That was a special player, super fast. He was a track star, man. That was amazing. Wide receivers historically have not been very great for the tight end, or for the Titans. So I know, man, who, Randy Moss? Like, I know he played for him a little bit, but I almost forgot that AJ Brown played for them back with Mike Vrabel. So yeah, I'll go with AJ Brown. We'll go with Derek Mason as well. Definitely one of the old Titan legends that you kind of just forget about as time goes along. So Derek Mason, AJ Brown, right then and there. And then in terms of defense, they had some solid defenses back in the day. I do remember that. And I completely skipped over tight ends, but tight ends kind of pretty easy. You're gonna go Delaney Walker. Delaney Walker, that's kind of the only notable name that you can really think about when you think about the tight end since 2000 for the Tennessee Titans. Man, saying Titans tight end is like, say that 5 times fast, man. Titans, you know, it's like a lot of T's. And then, yeah, in terms of defense, we're going to throw it way back to the 2000 defense, because they had the second best defense in the league at that time, only behind the historic, legendary Ravens defense. So, yeah, let me get that 2000 tight end defense. You know, they had Javon Curse, Keith Bullock, and Jarrell Casey, and yeah, that was pretty solid team, you know. So yeah, let me get that 2000 defense for the Tennessee Titans, and honestly, it turned out to be a pretty good squad. Now for Jacksonville Jaguars, you're just gonna rattle off some names. I mean, we got Trevor Lawrence, obviously. Could go David Garrard or Byron Leftwich, but I think Trevor Lawrence is better than both of those guys. We got Maurice Jones-Drew at the running back. That one's pretty easy as well. I think for wide receivers, that's where it kind of gets a little difficult. Where you can get those Jacksonville Jaguar heroes and Jimmy Smith and Keenan McCardell. Those two names are always kind of hard to mention around Broncos fans, because they were able to upset the Broncos in the late 90s in a playoff game, but you know, we don't really talk about that because the Broncos were able to win a couple Super Bowls after that. So yeah, let me get Jimmy Smith and Keenan McCardell. In terms of a tight end, man, that's also, I think we got to go Mercedes Lewis. There's not really another name that even pops up that I can really think about right now. So Mercedes Lewis, and then we're going to go with that 2017 Jags defense with Jalen Ramsey and Malik Jackson and Calais Campbell and Yannick Ngakoue. Like, those were some dogs, man. I really thought they were going to do it. I really thought that they were going to beat Brady in New England and win that Super Bowl, and honestly, they should have, but we ended up getting a really good Super Bowl that year, so not really too salty about it. Anyways, that concludes the AFC South. Now, moving on to the AFC West, and last but not least, we got the Denver Broncos. I don't think Bo Nix has eclipsed Peyton Manning just yet, so that's pretty big shoes to fill, so obviously got to go Peyton Manning right there. In terms of running backs, Terrell Davis did play in 2000, so I think we got to go with Terrell Davis there. In terms of wide receivers, got to go Demaryius Thomas and Rod Smith. And then for a tight end, oh man, we go, I'm blanking on the name. Julius Thomas, yeah. That was probably the most athletic tight end that the Broncos have had in the last 26 years. So yeah, let me get Julius Thomas. I was thinking about Tony Scheffler or Daniel Graham as well, but no, I think Julius Thomas, that's a winning move right there. And then, the defense, that one, Do I even have to mention which defense we're picking? Is obviously the 2015 Super Bowl winning defense, the team that pretty much won the Super Bowl on their own throughout without pretty much little to no help from the Broncos offense as a unit. So yeah, that was an historic defense, a top 3 defense of all time in my opinion, one of the greatest defenses of all time. So that was that one I could just rattle off without any sort of online or AI help or anything, you know. So let's save some water today. Anyways, so next up we got the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs, obviously Patrick Mahomes. We go Jamal Charles at the. I mean, we could go Priest Holmes too. I think. I actually. Man, that's actually kind of tough. I think I'll still go Jamal Charles though. We'll go Patrick Mahomes, Jamal Charles, Travis Kelce. We'll go Dwayne Bowe as the wide receiver, and who else? Tyreek Hill. Yeah. We'll go Tyreek Hill and Dwayne Bowe, Travis Kelce, tight end, and then for the defense, I'm actually gonna pick the 2022 Kansas City defense 2023 Kansas City defense because that team, they could not have won the Super Bowl that year. Patrick Mahomes was not playing like Mahomes, but that defense was something special with George Karlaftis and all them guys. So Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed and everybody. So yeah, let me get KC, yeah, that 2023 KC defense, that was a Super Bowl winning defense right there, so you got to give them the respect that they deserve. For the Chargers, man, this is tough between. How do you pick between Justin Herbert and Phillip Rivers? It's kind of one and the same, but man, you know what? Screw it, man. Screw it. I'm standing on business. We're gonna go with Phillip Rivers over Justin Herbert until Justin Herbert shows me something to believe in. I'm gonna go with the tried and true Phillip Rivers, the one that was making my life hell as an 11-year-old kid back in the day when he was cursing out Jay Cutler and beating us every single year. Yeah, let me get Phillip Rivers. Let me get LaDainian Tomlinson. Let me get Antonio Gates. Let me get Vincent Jackson as the wide receiver. On the other side, I'll get Keenan Allen. And then for the defense, we're going to go with that 2011 defense that was number 1 in the league. Now, the funny thing is about that 2011 squad, or was it 2013? I think it was 2012 actually. The 2012 defense, they were number 1 in the league. They had the number 1 offense in the league, but they had the 32nd ranked special teams in the league, and they ended up missing the playoffs. Truly one of the most hilarious outcomes in NFL history. So obviously number 1 defense, there's a number 1 in front of it, so obviously they were best in the league. So I gotta go with that defensive unit. Now for the Oakland Raiders / Las Vegas Raiders, because it's over the last 26 years, we're gonna go with Derek Carr. We're gonna go with Darren McFadden as the running back. Although actually, I mean, you could go Josh Jacobs too, but I don't know. Let me go Darren McFadden. We'll go Brock Bowers as the tight end. We're gonna go Randy Moss as a wide receiver. A lot of people kind of forgot that he played there for a couple of years, a year or two. And then the other side, probably Amari Cooper. We'll go Amari Cooper and then for the defense, that's never really been historically their strong suit either. But for their defense, I'll probably pick one of those Gruden-led defenses. Let me see. Yeah, we're gonna go with the 2002 Raiders squad with Charles Woodson and Rod Woodson too. So the kind of the Woodson. I wouldn't say brothers because they weren't brothers, but the Woodson bros, if you know what I mean. So yeah, let me get that 2002 defense, and that kind of wraps up the that wraps up my legacy teams from the AFC over the last 26 years. And the episode is not over just yet. We still got a couple more questions to answer. My little Q&A at the end. This comes from my cousin Nibs. Shout out my cousin Nibs. I think he's actually in town these days. But yeah, let's see. He has 2 questions actually. He says, is the NFL becoming too pass heavy? No, I don't think so at all. I think it's actually the opposite. I think they're kind of going back to realizing how important the run game is. And, just look at the last 2 Super Bowl champions. The most recent Super Bowl champion, the Seattle Seahawks, the Super Bowl MVP was Kenneth Walker III, a running back. He had 160 yards and a couple of tutties, so that run game was very, very important. And I think teams are starting to realize that now. And then previously, the Philadelphia Eagles, they won it, and they pretty much got there by Saquon running against every single team and running for almost a record-breaking amount of yards. He was only what, like 100, between 50 to 100 yards away from breaking that record. So yeah, I don't think so at all. I think it was kind of getting pass heavy in the 2010s, when back when we had like 10 different quarterbacks passing for 4,000 yards, and we were kind of spoiled back in the day too, because it was just like if you didn't pass for 4,000 yards, it's like, what were you doing? But yeah, so I don't think it's getting too pass heavy at all. I think people are starting to finally realize the importance of the run game, and that's why Kansas City Chiefs now they signed Kenneth Walker over the offseason. They realized how important it was. A lot of teams drafted running backs in very, very early rounds. They're starting to finally realize that it's a very important position, and it's not just a position that is easily replaceable when you have an all-pro back there. And then his second question is, who has the best uniforms in the NFL? Now, this is kind of a loaded question, because I feel like there's differences. Like, if we're talking like alternate uniforms, you got like the classic Seahawks and the Patriots and all that. But in terms of like the alternates, and the classics, I think the best uniform, without a doubt, and I'm not even being biased, is the Denver Broncos Orange Crush uniforms. Those things are beautiful. I think they should just go back to that regularly. That should be their full-time uniform. They're currently undefeated right now. They're 4-0, or I think 5-0 when they're playing with those uniforms. So yeah, obviously, let me get those. I mean, when you look good, you play good. So that's definitely by far the best classic uniforms in the NFL. Now, in terms of just like regular uniforms that you play week in and week out, I really like the Carolina Panthers uniforms. I think those are very pretty. I think like the light blue, that's like one of my favorite colors of all time, is light blue. So I can't go wrong with a little Carolina Panthers action. I think the Baltimore Ravens, when they're playing in prime time, they have those all black uniforms playing underneath the lights and it's dark outside. Like that one. It's like if they show up in that, your team probably lost already. You know what I mean? They look good, play good. So yeah, let me get that one. Man, who else has a really good uniform? I think the Jets have a good uniform too. The Kelly Greens. I guess that's an alternate, so I can't really talk about the Kelly Greens. I feel like the uniforms used to be a lot better in the 2000s, back when they were made by like Reebok and Adidas and whatnot. They were a lot better. Nike kind of ruined a lot of these uniforms. So in terms of just regular uniforms, I think the Colts have always had an amazing color scheme. And I think it gets like brightened up by their stadium being so bright too, under those like neon LED lights. So I really like those two. The Lions have beautiful uniforms too. As you can see, my favorite color is blue. I think the Bears, the Broncos have always had good uniforms. But yeah, any team that has blue, I'm probably gonna like it. Any team that doesn't have blue, I probably dislike it. Like, I'll talk. I guess like the more easier question to answer is like, who are my least favorite uniforms in the NFL? I don't really like the Saints uniforms. I don't really like the Falcons. I don't really like, and this is just the uniforms, nothing against the teams. I really don't like the Cardinals uniforms. I do think the Rams uniform is pretty good though. The Chargers, Oh, how did I forget about the Chargers? Chargers have beautiful uniforms, too. I don't really like the Raiders. I don't really like the San Francisco 49ers uniforms. So, any team that has any sort of shade of blue in it, or purple. I do like purple. Shout out Vikings and Ravens. But any team that has any sort of, like, shade of blue and a contrast color like red or orange, it's usually going to be a winner for me. So, anyways, I did promise that I was going to talk about the NBA Finals, so I'm gonna step on a little soapbox real quick, talk about the NBA Finals. I just want to formally congratulate the New York Knicks for winning the Larry O'Brien Trophy, for winning the NBA Finals for the first time in 50 plus years. Like, that was an amazing goal, amazing teamwork, amazing team building. Shout out Mike Brown. Mike Brown, hell of a coach. Absolutely one of my favorite coaches in the NBA. One of my favorite coaches currently coaching in the NBA right now. You know, it's he's awesome. He really knows what he's doing, man. And I think it's kind of poetic how he was fired because of De'Aaron Fox in Sacramento, and now he's in New York playing against De'Aaron Fox in the finals. Now he's gonna beat De'Aaron Fox in the finals. You know, like all props to the New York Knicks. Like, shout out to you guys. Shout out New York. Like that. One hell of a story. And if you're listening to this as it's dropping, you realize that I'm saying this after Game 5. After Game 4. So you're like, wait, Hammer, the season's still going on. The Knicks haven't won it yet. What are you talking about? Well, I'll tell you what I'm talking about. The Spurs ain't winning this, man. Give it a break. Give it a break. This is a Hammer guarantee. The Spurs are not winning the NBA Finals. They are not coming back 3-1. The Knicks got this. The power of friendship. And like, people are saying, oh, it's the power of friendship. No. That's a really good team, man. They built that team. That team, both offensively and defensively, is a very, very dominant team. Like, the Spurs, they're just too young. The lights are too bright. And we saw that the other day when they were up by 29 and they still couldn't seal the deal. You know, that team way too young. The coach is young. All the players are young. Wemby, the best player, the star of the show, he's 22 years old. Way too young. You know, this is like, they're not mature enough to play under the lights. I think Wembanyama needs to go back to China, train with those Shaolin monks again, you know, get his mind right again, because obviously this wasn't it. You know, I don't understand. You should have seen me ranting on Wednesday, man. This was, I almost dropped an emergency pod just to kind of rant about how disgusting the Spurs played in the second half of Game 4, to the point where they made an absolute mockery of the sport of basketball, so that way the Knicks could finally come back and beat them and go up 3-1 in the series. Like, rest in peace, New York, man. New York is going to get totally destroyed. Like, their fans are going to burn down that city. And, you know, it's like, whatever, man. Like, it's kind of the Spurs' fault. I guess, like, as a Spurs fan, I guess you're kind of used to this pain. And you also have one hell of a coping mechanism with those 5 rings that you have historically gotten, you know, G-Pop and Tim Duncan and Tony Parker and whatnot. So, yeah, like, you got one hell of a coping mechanism, because I really don't know how you guys do it. First, you blow that 3-2 series lead, 6-point lead with like 30 seconds to go in 2013 against the LeBron Heatles and the Heat. You know, that was that legendary call by Mike Breen where it's like, James off the mark, rebound, Bosch, back out to Allen for 3, bang, like that. I don't. And then they ended up losing that game, or they ended up losing that series, losing that finals because of that. Like, and now, like, being up by 29 points going into the second half and blowing it to the New York Knicks. Obviously they know how to take a lead. They know how to play basketball. They just don't know how to hold on to the lead. The lights are too bright. So congratulations, New York. Please celebrate responsibly. I'm very, very, very happy for you guys. This is one of the best finals matchups that we've had in a very long time. I think there's been a lot of teams that I hate watching make it to the finals in recent years, and neither of these teams, the Spurs and or the Knicks, were one of those teams that I hated. So shout out to the Knicks, shout out to the Spurs, but yeah, even more shout out to the Knicks for winning the finals, and congratulations. And it won't happen, but if the Spurs end up coming back 3-1, I'll have to do an entire apology, the video or podcast or whatever, but it ain't happening. I'm pretty confident. I'm 1,000% confident that that's not going to happen. So I'm chilling. I'm fully confident that the Knicks are going to win it, and that's why I'm congratulating them right now. So anyways, thank you guys so much for listening to Bring the Sink. This is a little intersports kind of conversation here at the end, but thank you guys so much for listening to Bring the Sink. Part 2 will be released sometime next week, or at least hopefully sometime in the next few days. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and social media, TikTok, Instagram. I'm trying to think what else. YouTube. It's also on YouTube now. So, yeah. I'm your host, The Hammer, and peace.